You've been called a creator, inspirer, visionary, motivator, and some might go as far to even say genius for having developed Dancer Slalom into what it is today. Can you give us a quick rundown about how it got its roots? Yeah, I mean, here in the Midwest we're severely lacking in hillage and speed, and I just got really jealous seeing these kids just speeding down hills. And pulling really gnarly slides. Yes! And I just remember thinking, I want something to call my own. And you know, the only things we can really do, I mean, the occasional cow tipping and dinking around in cornfields. Marco! Hello! And I honestly thought that longboard dancing was for pansies. And I thought slalomers were just kind of dry humping the air. And, you know, so we decided, hey, you know, let's put these two really moronic looking things together and see what happens. But you know how they say two negatives make a positive? Once we put these things together, it just was so amazing to do. And, you know, we just started practicing every day after school, and lo and behold, it turned into what it is today. Now, can you please try to describe how you feel when you're on your board and actually doing Dancer Slalom? It's quite invigorating. I mean, once you get up to around 8 miles an hour, the adrenaline just starts flowing.
I get confident watching it, about to go and get some compliments, passing up on those moccasins. Someone else has been walking in by me and grungy fucking man. I am stunting and flossing and saving my money, and I'm hella happy. And I think if I had to kind of put it into words, it's kind of like being Fred Astaire on crack. And I've never actually seen Fred Astaire dance, and I, for that matter, haven't done crack, but I can just imagine that what I do is pretty much the embodiment of those two things. So after people watch this whole video, they're probably going to want to go out and try Dancer Slalom for themselves. Can you give them any advice as far as gear or setup? You know, I'm actually really glad you asked me that. I know there's a lot of information out there, and with all the internet stuff going on, people can either get misinformation or can get really conflicting viewpoints about what to do. And so I actually took the liberty to film a tutorial about how to get your board ready for Dancer Slalom prior to coming to this interview, so have a look. What's up, kiddies, and for those of you guys watching at home, I'm going to do a quick rundown of the essential parts you guys will need for a dancer setup, and more importantly, a Dancer Slalom setup. Usually something that's overlooked, but I want to touch on a few basics. For starters, get a nice good set of square lift wheels. Mine are actually from a special compound used also on the Mars rover. Really important. It makes them slide better, makes them grip better, makes you a faster rider. All these very important things in the world of Dancer Slalom. On the subject of urethane, bushings. Make sure you guys get a really nice precision set. Mine are actually hand carved in South America by a guy named Lupe. I won't get too much into it because he only has a few select customers, but also very important, make sure trucks turn better. Also on the subject of trucks, if you can afford them, precision risers, you want a fully equal spacing, you want it to be flat and flush. Just a tiny bit of angle that's off, it's not going to work very well and you're going to lose your race. A commonly overlooked thing also is board hardware. Now, some of you guys can get this stuff cheap at Home Depot and Lowe's. It's crap. This stuff, solid titanium, will never break, never trip. Your board will be held together better. Also, another huge point of contention are bearings. Now, you may be one of those guys who says, I want cheap $10, $15 bearings. Screw it. That stuff is going to get you nowhere. A, the more ceramic, the better. B, the more expensive, the better. I can't actually tell you where I get mine because of what they have to do to a sturgeon in order to make them, but I can say that these things will go much faster and roll much longer, which is what you need to excel in this sport. Also, we're going to talk about trucks really quick. Again, common theme, precision is better. Mine are actually custom made from a special branch of Paris. Don't email them, they will not hook you up. Mine run for about $3.50 a set. I replace them about every 3 or 4 races because the alignment just gets off by about 1/4 of a millimeter and I can't skate under those conditions. But again, if you can, precision, key. Also, another thing you guys want to consider is grip tape. Something that's commonly overlooked. The precision stuff I use is exactly 1/16 of an inch thick. If you have any kind of deviation in your grip, your feet are going to feel really screwy and you're going to feel kind of wobbly and off kilter on your board. That's something that in competition you do not want to have. The stuff runs about 20 bucks a foot, but again, worth it.
So I've been meaning to ask, before you came onto the skate scene, the longboard world was largely dominated by freeride and downhill, but you've taken dancing and slalom, two big underdog disciplines, and brought them back to the limelight. Can you kind of go into how you did that? That's actually a pretty good question. I actually just had an epiphany one day. I was watching just the Weather Channel, trying to see if it was going to rain or not that day, to see if I could skate. And despite my best efforts to look at the radar, I just couldn't take my eyes off the weather woman and just her beauty. And I remember thinking to myself, if news networks can use an attractive woman to sell something as boring as the weather to people, why couldn't I do the same for dancer slalom? And yeah, it was just undeniable that the sexy rebranding of these two backburner disciplines really made me a pioneer. But the unfortunate outcome was that I didn't have the foresight to see the repercussions. Yeah, it ended up that people just wouldn't stay in their lane and they hit all the cones because they just were trying to stare at an actual female. And but the success was short-lived enough that dancer slalom just kind of skyrocketed to the top. And as soon as I started seeing all these awesome unboxing videos on YouTube and threads on Silverface asking what blank is best for dancer slalom, I knew then that I had really just created the next big thing. So when you finally realized that longboarding was being revolutionized by your influence, you set out to create a team of elite dancer slalomers to kind of be your protégés. Can you go into some of your methods and preparation you did with them? Absolutely, yeah. I think the process is definitely a trial of endurance, and it's not for the faint of heart, but I truly think that I produce the finest specimens in the sport. And I actually brought with a little montage of our daily repertoire and training that we do.
Push-ups till we have to hurl. Dancer slalom gets the girls.
I'm a goofy. So building off of that, some critics have condemned your methods and labeled them highly controversial based off of your mental and physical abuse. How do you respond to that? Nothing I'm doing is illegal, quite frankly. They're all here by choice, and I'm just trying to mold a harder, better, faster, stronger skater. And that's what I've done.
Faster! Higher! What are you doing? Gentlemen, you have reached all but the final stage of becoming all that is a dancer and slalomer. To become the most elite of the elite, you have but one more test of endurance to go through. The great Adam Colton once said, BAM! 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 Gentlemen, remove your blindfolds. You are now dancer slalomers.
Yes!
Now, over the past 6 months, I think it's pretty safe to say that you've become the talk of the industry. Everyone wants a piece of the action. You've been on the cover of every skate magazine in the business. You have your own bushings, trucks, decks, and wheels coming out very soon. Now, with all that money and endorsements flowing your way, would you say that you've indulged a little bit, or have you remained pretty level-headed and kept your ego in check? Hey! Quit squirming when I'm reading my concrete wave. Not really. I think I've stayed pretty modest and stayed true to who I am. Now, I'm sure you were delighted to find out that deliberations are underway to add Dancer Slalom to the X Games, and as a result of that, you've received some pretty great feedback from some skateboard phenoms. I'd like to read you just a few comments and see how you react to them. Tony Hawk tweets, "Now this is skateboarding." Your response? He makes an interesting point, and I agree. And Misho Urban comments, "This makes my speed records look like child's play." Wow, I appreciate the compliment, especially because it's from him. But I mean, if we're going to be politically correct, I think that it makes his writing look kind of more like baby's play. James Kelly asks, "Dude, why didn't I think of this?" Yeah, I mean, to be truthful, James just isn't that smart. And Adam Colton remarks, "Hey folks, this is even better than that time I played with that butter badger who was whistling Dixie." I don't even know how to respond to that with a rational thought. And finally, to kind of wrap up the interview, I'd like to open up the floor and ask if you have any closing words or remarks. Gotta give the people what they want. If this isn't progression, then I don't know what is. And other than that, I think the Lords of Dogtown will be pretty happy with me.
Okay.
That looks really hot.
Seriously. Oh.
You got a creeper in the trees here, looking at the girl in the bikini.
Yeah.
They're only $10-5. Let me redo that because I was going to say fuck.